Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan.
Bad Omens. The title V.A.N, which is an acronym for Violence Against Nature, is a pretty perfect title because that is exactly what we see throughout this video, because it is all about corrupting the natural state of humans for nefarious purposes. As we'll soon see, the song contains a spiritual component where violence against nature is also violence against God's creation, and any form of ritual abuse, SRA, is violence against human nature. It's a disgusting thing that should be stopped immediately. Now, the music video begins with an enigmatic apple that sits in a lab-like setting. In Genesis, Lucifer offers Eve the proverbial apple, which leads to original sin. The apple starts to magically levitate while dripping with blood. Now, after this scene with the apple, we get a very quick shot on the screen of a syringe extracting blood from Poppy. This shot is coupled with the red apple dripping in blood, which leads me to believe that the apple actually represents adrenochrome. As we all know, adrenochrome is harvested from traumatized captives, so this seems to fit the narrative of her career. Remember, captured. Following this scene, we see Poppy has been locked inside a glass enclosure with some weeds, plants, and what looks like dirt in order to simulate nature or some type of artificial biome. We then see the white coat MK handlers walking into the room. Poppy is obviously under the control of these handlers. One of these is actually played by the lead singer of Bad Omen, and it's the one that you can't see. It's the one whose face they black out. So one of the white coats in this music video is actually the lead singer of Bad Omens. Now, this song obviously collabed with Bad Omens, and the MK facility is branded with their stylized version of their logo all over the place. So this is the Bad Omens logo, and this is the stylized logo that we see on the lab coats of the MK doctors in the music videos. Okay, in other words, the band plays the role of the sadistic handlers. They even own the MK lab. Now, considering the horrific mental, physical and sexual abuse that MK handlers subject to their slaves, this is a rather strange role to play, and I don't know why you would opt to do this in a music video. In one of the following scenes, we see that one of the handlers in the white coat is actually Poppy herself, but with black hair. Now, this obviously represents one of Poppy's alters. MK handlers are often MK slaves themselves. Victims become perpetrators and the cycle continues. So this music video is a very apt representation of what happens during the MK treatment. Now, like I said, at the beginning of the video, blood is extracted from Poppy. We now get another shot here of what looks like blood being dropped into a vial in preparation to be mixed. That mixture is placed in another injection, which is then given to Poppy. After we see Poppy being injected, her eyes turn black. Very common, very common theme that we see in music videos. Now, most people think scenes like this represent the loss of one's soul and demonic possession, and I'm not saying that there is not an aspect of truth to that, but what I really think the black eyes represent is black goo, which I'm assuming is what is being mixed with her blood in this vial. And this would again lend credence to the idea of monarch programming, because it is the monarch program that shoots up their victims with black goo, whereas, say, Kruger, for example, does not do this. Then to hammer the nail in the coffin a little further and ensure that all the symbol literate folk out there know exactly what this video is talking about, there are monarch symbols inserted all over this video, symbols which I've discussed at length on this channel before this music video ever came into existence. These symbols, which are scattered in between the scenes of Poppy being programmed, are of course the monarch butterfly and the white rabbit. In this image here, we see a monarch butterfly trapped in a vial, desperately trying to flap its wings and escape. This is clearly being paralleled with the position that Poppy currently finds herself in. She is the monarch butterfly. And in the scene prior to Poppy being shot up with the black goo, we see this image of the white rabbit flash onto the screen. As explained in numerous of my previous videos and in the first installment to this series, the theme of Alice in Wonderland always makes an appearance during videos about monarch programming. Why? Well, the symbol of the white rabbit is extremely important in programming. In Alice in Wonderland, which along with a plethora of other movies is used as a thematic base for programming, Alice follows a white rabbit through the looking glass to enter Wonderland. While being programmed, MK slaves are told to follow the white rabbit to Wonderland, which in their case means total disassociation. When this is accomplished, handlers can engage in the ultimate goal of monarch programming, which is the splitting and the fracturing of personalities. And what you need to realize is that 70 to 75% of monarch slaves are female. I'm going to say that again. 70 to 75% of monarch slaves are female. This is because females have a much higher pain threshold than men, which means that they disassociate much faster, which means that they can be programmed much faster because they reach these altered states of consciousness much faster. If you want to know more about Alice in Wonderland and the Wizard of Oz and how they're used as a thematic base for programming, then please watch the previous videos on my channel where I go into phenomenal detail about these movies. I must keep the explanation short here for the sake of brevity. Here are a few more highly symbolic shots. In the second one, we see the white rabbit effectively covering Poppy's eye, creating that one eye symbolism, which we all know and we all see all over Hollywood, and it should essentially be understood as representing total slavery. So you see someone throwing up this one eye symbol, they are a complete and total slave. Simple as that. Don't care who it is. The first part of this video seems to be showing you the process of Poppy getting shot up with a black goo and essentially tortured in a doctor's chair, which I see as the preparation stage for the fracture. The second half of this video appears to show the actual fracture itself, and that's what we're going to have a look at now.